Hey everyone, it's Tiffany, and today I thought I would go ahead and make a funny, lighthearted video about, I don't want to call them wedding dramas, but like just some things that were unforeseen as far as like the wedding planning and leading up to the wedding day, and also just give some advice, some do's and don'ts from the experience that I had. Our wedding was beautiful, and you can go ahead and see the video. I'll link it in the cards up above. It was like something out of a movie. It was like a princess dream. I loved it. I still love like looking at all our pictures. I think something that will help as far as stress management, and this is something that I take with me in every aspect of my life, whether it's my job or like personal life, is that like things might go wrong and you have to find that sweet spot of stress, because if you stress about something, that means that you care. You just can't do it in a way that's like negative or negatively impacting you or those around you. If you don't stress at all, I feel like you don't care, and then you won't be looking at things in like a critical lens if you might need to. I also read a lot of those like am I the asshole on Reddit and like Bridezilla posts on like wedding Facebook groups and stuff. And I will say that there are some people who in any potential role, whether it's like the bride or the groom or a family member or a friend, who might be taking things overboard. Like sometimes there are some expectations or demands that I hear from people that I'm just like surely that's not something that could be real. I feel like generally my husband and I are humble people. Like, I mean, we're confident, but I was not a bridezilla. I feel like there were certain points where I think I could have set boundaries earlier as far as certain aspects of the wedding planning, and that's something that one of my best friends constantly told me was like, set your boundaries, you know, obviously like you're not being crazy about this. And it came to my attention that someone did refer to me as a bridezilla when I was discussing like who we wanted on our guest list. I think that obviously if you're not being crazy, like if you're not being unreasonable, like it's your wedding, obviously it's not like your wedding, you should get everything you want and like things are just, you know, owed to you. But at the same time, like if you're working for it, you saved up your money, and like you're paying for certain things, or like these are the things that you want to have at your wedding that are not unreasonable, then like that's what you should have. And I think this happens in other areas of life, like especially even now with the COVID situation going on, like you have to be comfortable and accept the fact that some people might think that you're overreacting when you socially distance and stand 6 feet apart and go into the grocery store with a mask and gloves on. Like you have to be comfortable with people thinking that you are like a bridezilla. Like there were certain people who were not invited to our wedding, and I was perfectly comfortable with that. Like I was perfectly fine with if they thought that I was a bitch for not inviting them, like that's cool. Good for you. The only kids that we allowed at our wedding were family members, so basically like friends of the family or like coworkers or anyone like that. Like unfortunately their kids were not invited, just because we could not accommodate, like for our budget, like we were paying for majority of the things. Like there were certain things that were gifted to us, which I can go ahead and talk about like how to do a cost-effective wedding as well, because like I made my own invitations for both the wedding and the bridal shower and the bachelorette party. There was a lot of stuff that like we DIY'd. If you want me to make a video about that, I'll definitely go ahead and do that. But one of the points about that was like knowing what your budget is and sticking to it. So part of the aspect of sticking to our budget was like we can accommodate, like we're paying for the feed, so these are the guests that we have and these are the kids that are invited. And some people didn't end up coming because of that. Some people only came for the ceremony and just a little bit of the reception, and then they left, and that was perfectly fine. But again, you shouldn't have to like constantly defend yourself. And I found that there were a few moments in the wedding planning that I felt like I had to defend myself and explain my choices and explain my reasoning. And my bridesmaids did a really good job of letting me know, like, this is what you want. Like, you don't have to explain why you guys want to eat barbecue at your wedding. Like, it's your wedding. You want to have barbecue, like eat barbecue. So something that I think helped with that was having a wedding website. I feel like we did a really good job of explaining things like from the attire and like who we could and couldn't accommodate for, and like where our guest list was, and you know how you could RSVP. We had information there about our registry and about the fact that we were going to have a wishing well there as well if, you know, anyone wanted to give us a card. So on our invitation, we had the link to the website and the password to get in. Like I knew people joked about people being like, oh, I lost your invitation. Oh, it's at the bottom of a pile somewhere. Like, oh, can you just text me the address and the time? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't think that so many people would be like that. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared for people to lose their invitations. Be prepared for people to be like, oh my God, like it got lost in the mail. Cause like it's super important to you, but like it's, you know, a date night for them. So the wedding website was great for all this centralized information because it also had a section for like your engagement photos, your engagement story, and anyone who was in the bridal party and all that stuff. So it was really good to have all that in kind of one hot spot. But I will say it is difficult to encourage people to get like a physical piece of paper. This is a bad example because it's my phone, but to get a physical piece of paper, read a website like www.blah/da-da-da, and like type it into their computer. So it doesn't matter how tech savvy someone is, like it's really hard to get someone to like type in a link. So I would really suggest that if you want to use a website, like just in hindsight, what I probably should have done was take that link and also just shoot it to people in a Facebook message or a text message, so that way they can like click on it easily and go to there. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to RSVP. So the first major wedding like drama that happened, I know nobody had bad intentions. Like I know that nobody ever like, well, that's not true because some people do have bad intentions. But like in this instance at David's Bridal, it was like, so I set up an appointment to go to David's Bridal to look for a dress. So you walk in and there was a person who kind of gets your information and says like, okay, so what's the style that you said you liked? Have you looked on the website? Is there anything specific that you want to look at? And I had like lots of pictures saved. So I said I really wanted long sleeve, like sheer, either like off the shoulder, strapless with potentially a bolero that I could take on and off, or like a sheer jacket or something. A-line. I wasn't really too keen on the mermaid style. I just wanted to be able to dance comfortably. I said I really loved glitter and shine and sparkles, and I wanted it to be very lightweight. I specifically said I did not like embroidery. I did not like thick, heavy lace. All the emotions are coming back. So pretty much as soon as everyone gets there, the lady who is supposed to be looking after me or like taking care of me during that appointment, she comes up to me, we introduce ourselves. I tell her everything that I want. I tell her my price point. And I say like, you know, this is the wiggle room that I have, but I'd like to stay under this much. Like these are the dresses that I found. So she's like, okay, well you're, let's let like your entourage like keep looking at dresses and we'll take you over here to look at bridesmaids dresses. And I was like, I'm not here for bridesmaids dresses. And she was like, well, we need to pick a bridesmaid's color to make sure that the dress matches. And I'm like, okay, the dress is either going to be white, off-white, ivory. Like I'm not looking for a weird colored dress. Not that it's like weird to have a dress that's not white or ivory, but like, I was like, why am I looking at bridesmaid dresses? So we walk over to the bridesmaid section and she's like, do you know what color you want? And I'm like, yeah, rose gold. Like I said to my bridesmaids, like you can pick whatever, you know, obviously the style would generally be like a long dress or like a short one or a high-low, like I don't care. As long as it had some kind of sparkle in it, maybe, or like rose gold. It didn't have to have glitter or sparkle, but like it would be nice. Their dresses were already like set. Like we were cool with that. And so we spend so long looking at these different shades of pink that they have. And she was like, well, we don't really have a rose gold one, but we have this shade. And I'm just like, yeah, great. That's the one. And she's like, okay, great. So she grabbed a bridesmaid's dress and like was gonna take it so that we could put it next to my dress to make sure the color was okay. And I was like, can I just look at dresses, please? So then she takes me into the dressing room and she measures me and she brings this like undergarment for your bottom half. Like it looks kind of like a mermaid style with like a poof. And then she also took my measurements for a corset. So she brought the corset back and hung it up in the changing room and it literally would not fit me. Like, I don't know if she grabbed the wrong one or like what happened, but it was way, way, way too small. So when she finally came back, because I was sitting in there waiting forever, like I was like, I opened the door, I was like shouting out to my mom or my mother-in-law, my friends. I was like, where are you guys? Like I literally didn't know where they were, where the woman had gone. Finally she comes back and I tell her the corset didn't fit and she's like, it's fine, it's fine. So she brings in all these dresses. One of the dresses my mom wanted me to wear or try on, and it was out of my price point and not like it was, it had like a cute top and it was sparkly, but I tried it on and it like wasn't what I was looking for. And then the other dresses that she brought were literally like the thickest, like it literally looked like someone, like I don't know if that's the right term, like embroidered, but it was like someone had taken like thread and like sewed directly onto this like thick fabric. And I was like, I don't even want to try it on. Like all the dresses she brought in, I was like, I don't even want to try it on. And I was like, can I please go look at dresses? And she was like, no, 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 I'm going to go out and find them. Waiting, nothing. Like I was literally just in there half naked. And one of my friends who was there, she kept like opening the door and she was like putting veils on and being like, Tiffany, look, like look at my veil. And I was like, I'm not the type of person to be so like, I'm the bride, like don't put a veil on. Like it wasn't that. I was just like, the whole situation, I was like, really? Like now's not the time to do that. I tried to show her pictures again that were on my phone and she went to go look for them, but then I was like, is there any way that you can find something like strapless? And we got this whole discussion. I was like, you know, if you found something strapless and then maybe I could put a bolero or a jacket over it, like do you guys have jackets that I could like try on with like a strapless dress just to like see the style? And she was like, people don't do that. I don't think that's a thing that people do. Literally outside of my dressing room was a rack of jackets, like a rack of boleros, like sheer see-through sparkly ones. So when I peeked out to show her the jackets, I saw there was a girl who was in the vicinity trying on one of the dresses that I had found on the website that I showed her. I was like, I really like that style, like I really want to try it on. Well, we only have it in off-white and I don't know if we have it in your size. So I'm gonna have to get the next size up or like whatever. So here's the thing. It ended up being the dress that I bought, but I ended up taking my dress to a different seamstress that was not with David Bridal, and thank God that I did because she did an amazing job. Like the dress was beautiful, but she made it literally look like a Disney princess dress. And when I took it to the seamstress, she was like, this is way too big. This is like a whole size too big. So she brings out the dress and I try it on and I really like it. The sleeves keep like falling down and it's really huge around my torso. Like it's huge around my, bust area, it's huge around my torso, like it's huge around my waist, like it was just big and like falling off. And so then she took these clips and she kept trying to clip them, but then she made my skin really red. She kept like pinching my skin and it was hurting. So finally this dude walks by and he clips the things onto me properly, and I can hear him whispering to her like, you need to wrap it up because this is almost an hour and you need to wrap it up, and when you're clipping it you need to make sure that you pinch and fold in this way. And I was like, that's interesting that he, you know, is like telling her what to do and like giving her help. Maybe he's like the floor manager. We try on veils and we find this one veil that is literally like perfect. My veil, my mom bought the veil for me, is beautiful, so beautiful. Matched the dress perfectly as far as like the lace and the swirl and the beading. Because I am Chilean, we wanted the veil to have kind of that like Hispanic Chilean style. That more like traditional look in a sense. And I was just like, okay, yeah, like I think this is the one, like I really like this dress. So then she came up to me and she's like, you need to make a decision now, like you need to wrap it up. And I was like I just wasn't, like obviously I love my dress, but just in that moment I felt so unsure and pressured because I think the whole experience was just like, the whole experience was weird. Like the fact, like in my mind I was like, can I just go like look at some dresses? Like the whole time she's like, no, you don't need to look at dresses. Like, so obviously I did say yes to that dress. And then as I'm leaving, the guy who was checking me out, he was the one who had whispered to her like, you need to wrap it up. He was like, by the way, you were her very first bride, so if you have any feedback, please give it to us because we'd love to hear how well she did because you were her very first bride. And I'm like, what the fuck? If I was her first bridal consultation, no wonder she wanted to just keep going back to the prom dresses and to the bridesmaids dresses because that's probably what she was more familiar with, which is like fair enough. But like if I was your first bridal consultation, like why wouldn't you as a mentor be there with her, like shadow her, like hover around her so that way she can reach out for help, because clearly she was lost and confused. My mom and mother-in-law and friends told me that they found a lot of dresses that kind of like fit the bill of what I was looking for, but like they gave them to the woman who was helping me, but she never gave them to me to try on. They literally handed her dresses and then just like poof, disappeared. My advice there would be do a lot of shopping, do a lot of trying on. You don't have to buy a dress the first time you go out. Literally like go try dresses on, leave, think about it, go to a different store, try on different dresses, like try on all the dresses, don't make a commitment until you're absolutely ready. And keep in mind as well, you could probably get a dress that's more on the cost-effective side and then take it to a seamstress to have them like make it what you want. Like if you go to a David's Bridal or a Terry Costa, you don't necessarily have to use their seamstresses or their alterations people. The thing that made the dress just like so beautiful was that she told us to go ahead and buy like a certain amount of tulle that was like glitter, like it was pure glitter sparkly tulle, and then she put it underneath the first layer of tulle. I'm gonna like bust it out, so I don't know if you can see. So like I don't know if you can see. Okay, here's another tip. Send out the invitations to everyone at the same time. Like lock in your guest list, send the invitations out to everyone, and then you can go ahead and announce who's in your bridal party. Like, because a lot of people might, because there are some people who might take it as like a debate. My friend who was trying on the veils, she and I, like we're still friends, but we struggled to see eye to eye on certain things. She was in the bridal party. She was a bridesmaid. This was after finding out that one of our mutual friends was a bridesmaid. And I was kind of like, okay, yeah. And then one of my friends told me she was actually going to come all the way over from Australia to come to the wedding. So I was like, look, you know, we haven't really seen eye to eye on certain things, whether it's been to my face or not to my face, like things I've heard. I'd really like the opportunity for my best friend from Australia to be in the bridal party, and so she stepped down and just came as a guest. But one of the things I will never forget is when we were bridesmaids dress shopping for our mutual friend, because she still wanted to come along, which was fine, like as long as there were no hurt feelings. She kept making comments about like, oh, I'm not a bridesmaid anymore, so I can wear this to your wedding. And it was like a white maxi dress or like a white dress. I was like, really? Oh, another piece of advice that I would say as far as sending the invitations out all at once, make it very clear who you're inviting. This is for this person. You are getting the invitation. We didn't have any like blank like plus ones. Like if you were in a relationship that was known and established, then you could come with your boyfriend. There were some people who were like, oh, well, like this person can't come, so like can we just like swap this out, blah, blah, blah. Like just be prepared for things to happen like that. But just remember, like if you're paying for the feed and you want to be specific about who you're inviting, like address it very specifically and be like, please RSVP for this person and this person. Leading up to the wedding, my makeup artist canceled on me. And I already had a trial with her the day that we got our engagement pictures taken, and I really loved her work. Like I wanted to make sure that the makeup artist would be able to do makeup well on like a variety of skin tones. So when she canceled on me, I was like, you know, it happens. I reached out to a few other people, but they weren't able to be like within my price range, and they also weren't able to do it like the date because it was so close to the day, and they weren't able to do a trial, and I did not want to have someone do my makeup and hair without a trial. So there was an Ulta that was near the hotel and venue that we were going to be at, and I decided to book an appointment for my hair and makeup. I told my bridesmaids, sorry, you're gonna have to do your own hair and makeup. I apologize. They were fine with that. It just sucks that we didn't get to like all chill beforehand. So me and my best friend who came from Australia, we ended up going to Ulta that morning of, and she had my makeup and was doing her makeup in the mirror. And I previously told some of this story in another video, my update video. So it might sound familiar, but basically they said it would take an hour and a half to do my makeup and hair. And I told them that at the time I had very long hair, and they were like, yeah, just an hour and a half, no big deal. And I was like, okay, because the wedding starts at 1. Or did it start at 2? I don't know. Anyways, so we go, and my makeup looked amazing. Like my makeup looked so good. I wish that I could replicate it, because I was like, you know what? Just do like pink glitter on the eyes. Like I was like, just make it sparkly. And she did a fantastic job. It stayed on like all night. But it took forever. So then by the time they got to my hair, it was taking ages, and she had to get her manager to come in and help. And by that time my friend was like, I'm gonna go do my makeup in your car because this feels awkward. I brought in my own falsies, and I had like my Walgreens receipt, and she was like, just make sure that you keep the receipt because otherwise they're gonna think you stole it. And I was like, can't you vouch for me? Like if I get accused of stealing? And so they're like spraying and wiping and spraying and wiping and spraying with the hairspray because we're finally done locking it into place. And then her manager's like, why is your hair pink? And I was like, what do you mean? Why is my hair pink? And she moves from in front of me and I see myself in the mirror and all my gray hair was pink, like baby pink. So what had happened was the bottle, they had used red permanent marker or red ink to scratch off the barcode, I guess, to make sure that it was like for the salon area. So when they were spraying it with a hairspray and then like wiping it down, I guess the hairspray had like activated the ink and it rubbed off on my gray hair. I was just kind of laughing about it because it was just so ridiculous. Because mind you, while all this was happening, there was also some dramas about the rehearsal the night before. I thought that it would be okay to have a seating chart, only in the sense that I would say like, okay, these people sit at this table. So you don't necessarily have to sit at this chair, but this is the table that you're going through. And I am usually so organized and so prepared, and for some reason I only printed out one copy and the master file was on my desktop at my job. The night of the rehearsal, a lot of people were like, oh, can I see the guest list? Oh, can I see the guest list? Oh, can I have a look at it? Blah, blah, blah. And the seating chart got lost. Just go ahead and have name cards. Just have their names on the tables. Like, you want to make it super easy for them, because what happened was that not everyone in my bridal party could end up sitting together. And then there were certain people who were separated because people just came in and sat where they wanted. I don't think that, you know, when so many people start coming in, it's a bit too much for even like one or two people to be like, what's your name? Like, this is where you sit. Like, I don't know you, but let me try to remember your name. But again, it was fine because by the time that everyone was eating and dancing, like everyone was getting up and moving around. So in the end, it didn't really matter because we didn't really want to be strict and say like, oh, you must be seated in this spot always, because we knew that once people got some food in them and some drinks and the music started playing, that they would just get up and move around. It was more so like during the ceremony and while people were eating, we wanted to make sure that like certain families were like grouped together and certain, you know, friends were able to be seated together. But while I was in the chair and they were like washing the pink out of my hair, they did it really quickly. They literally had a wet rag and they started wiping it before I could take a picture, which was really slick. I was messaging one of my friends at work and I was like, please, can you get onto my desktop and send me this, and I'll try to get my mom to print it out. And he sent it to me and I forwarded it off. But this was the subject line. That joke like really just made me chill for a minute, because I was like, dang, like I got pink hair, I hope it could come out. And it did end up coming out. But I called my other bridesmaid and I was like, my hair is pink. And she was like, it's okay, it'll match the decorations. Another piece of advice, that this was like super minor, but the day of the wedding, and I'm sure that you can see like in the video, there were certain parts where the microphone was cutting out, so you couldn't hear what we were saying, and the pastor actually said our names incorrectly. So previously we had sent him a voice message like with how to pronounce our names, but I don't remember at the rehearsal. I think that's my advice, like at the rehearsal, test your sound equipment and make sure, because like if we would have been testing like, hey, blah, 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 we're giving a speech, and then we would have been able to see like, oh, the microphone keeps cutting out, so you can't hear it through the amp. And then also like just practicing saying the names. Obviously it's not something that we were like too worked up about. It's not that big of a deal really. So at the end of the night, after our vows and the ceremony and the candle lighting and the photography, which was beautiful, we were all like dancing, and it was music that like everyone loved. We had stuff from my side of the family, stuff from his, like we had so many dances that everyone knew, and if they didn't know, we were like bringing them in. It was just such a beautiful, like truly the definition of like a fusion of families. Like it wasn't just about me and Quint, it was like this was all of our loved ones who could be there, like coming together, and just like just seeing people interact, like seeing my brother interact with like certain friends that we had, or like seeing certain friends that we had interact with certain members of Quint's like distant relatives. Like I never would have like, you know, seen them in the same room together, and like just everyone was getting along. There was so much love and happiness. Like it was such a beautiful night. So at the end of the night, we're all wrapping up, we're packing up. My dad and one of my friends from Australia and my brother had like written all over our car. They wrote like just married with a bunch of hearts. It was really beautiful. And they had like like cans and like a bottle, like a 2-liter plastic bottle, like tied to the, you know, tied up in strings, and they had like lights on our car. It was really beautiful. So because of the timing, that was another, I guess, like tip that a lot of people liked, was that it started at about like 1 and ended at about like 6, I think, like 6-ish, almost 7. So it was good because it wasn't super early, because then we'd have to wake up even earlier, and it wasn't late so that we wouldn't be like exhausted. So we ended up driving home with our, well, actually we ended up going to a bottle store. We ended up getting some Wingstop. All I will say about the bachelorette party was that it was like something out of a movie. Literally the whole night was like out of a movie. It was just beautiful, magical. I know I keep repeating myself, but like, it was just wonderful. And again, this video, I just wanted it to be really lighthearted and more like funny. Like, I'm not trying to start, you know, how ironic would that be to try to like start drama and start shit with people when we're all locked inside our houses. Every wedding, there's gonna be some bumps in the road, and it'll be okay. Like, half the stuff you won't remember, and the other half you'll just laugh at afterwards. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section down below, what would you have done in that situation if your hair was pink? I'd love to hear any crazy or funny wedding stories that you have as well, either your own or anyone that you've been to. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a beautiful day. Bye.